Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Ocrolus Product Pulse. Today, we're excited to share our latest solution for lenders, the Ocrolus Widget. If you have any questions throughout the session, please put them in the Q&A module in Zoom, and we'll address them at the end. My name is Vicky Polat from the Ocrolus marketing team, and I'm joined today by Craig McKeon, Director of Product Marketing at Ocrolus. Craig, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vicky. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm really excited to share one of our latest solutions with you all today, the Ocrolus Widget for document and data collection. I'll give you some background on this capability that's getting a lot of new interest, and then we'll deep dive into the dashboard to show you how to create the widget that you can use on your website or in your online application. I want to start by bringing up our Ocrolus-powered small business funnel. At the top of the funnel, we have the widget, which was built with small business lenders in mind. We know that many of you work across a range of borrower acquisition channels. It might be brokers or ISOs. And then there's other times where you're going direct to borrower. But not every lender has a custom borrower portal. And not everyone has a big development team to help build one. So that's where the widget comes in to streamline the top of funnel document intake. We also have our robust cash flow analytics that empower your financial analysis and your decision making, really the star of the show. But additionally, we do have some new solutions that have been coming out at the bottom of the funnel that I want to call out that utilize Plaid connectivity. So the first one is the docs to digital matching, which allows you to automate comparing Plaid transaction data with bank statement data that's been submitted during the loan application process. This really ensures that the data has consistency and improves efficiency for things like fraud detection and underwriting tasks. And then at the very bottom, we have post-funding transaction analytics. This allows you to upload Plaid transaction data using your API and receive updated cash flow analytics for enhanced portfolio management for things like loan renewals and collections. But that all starts with document and data connectivity. So now we will deep dive further into the widget. So I'm only showing one part of the widget so far. The Ocrolus widget is a white labeled document submission workflow. This can be easily embedded into your website. It looks and feels like your brand. You'll notice that we don't add any other branding to it. It'll sit directly within your website or your online application that already has branding. Borrowers can start an application and securely upload their documents, all without needing to leave your site. And on the back end, Ocrolus is doing the heavy lifting. So we're classifying, extracting, and analyzing those documents with cash flow analytics. Those documents are provided to you with clean data, fraud detect signals, and underwriting ready insights. So for lenders without a full tech stack, or for those who want to get to yes faster without adding operational overhead, the widget has been a very helpful solution. Additionally, we're seeing the market change with a rise in digital bank engagement. More and more lenders are asking us or telling us that I want to give my borrowers the option to connect their bank account digitally. That's a pretty big shift, especially in the small business landscape where historically borrowers have relied on uploading PDFs or printing statements. And we really understand that. Borrowers aren't always familiar with platforms like Plaid, but they know the functionality is out there and it's becoming a clearer expectation, even if they may not have used credentialing in the past into their bank account online. But they are following this larger segment of those tech-savvy borrowers and everyday consumers, really, who do prefer digital connection experience. And we believe that over time, honestly, happening a lot quicker, this will become more mainstream across lending, which is why we've partnered with Plaid to offer that experience. So with the new widget experience, borrowers can either upload documents or connect their bank account via Plaid, depending on what makes the most sense for them. The value for you is a complete view of the borrower with both document and digital data. Today, we enable that connection with Plaid. If you already have a Plaid account, you can bring your own credentials and plug it right into the flow. It's flexible, it's easy to implement since you don't need to develop your own intake module. And it's designed to give borrowers convenience while helping you get the data that you really need faster. I will go through a few things here. We'll jump into the Ocrolus dashboard and I'll show you how to first securely manage Plaid API keys if you're a current Plaid customer. We'll configure and white label the widget. And while we won't be doing any heavy coding today, I will quickly go over how you would then embed the widget on your site, which will take some support from your IT or your web team. So the first thing we'll do is jump into the Ocrolus dashboard. I know many of you are familiar with this. You can create a new book, you can upload files, share books. Once you've had the widget applied to your org, you'll go up to your accounts and settings, and you'll see an option to embedded widget. We'll click on that today. And you'll see a few things here. You'll see if you've already had widgets created in the past. You can see that I've been playing around, so I have an inactive one. And then you have the ability to connect your Plaid account. That's what we'll do first. We'll click Connect Plaid Account. You'll want to go to your Plaid dashboard and copy over your Plaid client ID and client secret. For demo purposes, we'll just put in an example today. This will still show us the functionality that's available, and you'll click Done. So your Plaid keys are now encrypted. They're stored securely within the Ocrolus system. We're reducing any exposure risk by just having it securely on here. You can update these keys at any time by selecting the Update Plaid Account Details in the same section. But that's it. Your Plaid connection is now securely set up for your organization, and we can get into creating a widget. So on the top right-hand corner, we will click Add Widget to create our first widget. I'm going to call this Online Application. It's also important here that we add allowed URLs. So you will want to we'll do Ocrolus/online application. I do want to point out that we do have a tooltip here. You'll need your subdomain, domain, and wildcards are not supported. So you can't put something like an asterisk and then have a bunch of supported URLs after. You'll want to go in and securely add each URL that it'll be populated on. And this is where it gets a little creative. You'll have some design options down here. We'll look at these first, and then we'll get into the other toggle options. But you can connect with your creative or design team if you have one, or if you have access to your brand. You can select either a different color here, or if you have the hex code, you can paste that in here, which is helpful. Let's say your organization is savvy with a green color. That will be the branding color that will show down below. And then you can update your text color too. A lot of websites for readability will have like a lighter gray. You can update that here. And then you also have two options. So you have the option to toggle on or off show upload documents. So that's where you would upload documents to Ocrolus. Let's say you're only looking for bank statements or whatnot. You can change the text that would be seen there. Maybe you want to ask for the next or the last 6 months of bank statements. You can do that as well. But you can really give the bar the expectation of what you're looking for so you don't have to go back later and ask for more. The show connect to bank is where you would have your Plaid connection. So you can toggle that on or off. And just like above, you can update to customize that by how you might be talking about financials on other parts of your application or your site. So update those. If you've decided you've gotten too creative, you can reset your design options back to the beginning. And down below, we give you a nice little preview of what that'll look like. You'll notice, like I mentioned before, there's no additional branding here from an Ocrolus perspective. So it is white labeled. Once we get through where this will live, the expectation is that you have it on your website where you already have your existing branding. You can see what the upload documents look like, the connect to bank. There is an option to look at the file uploader. You'll see also that anywhere that we had updated the text before, you still have that availability down here. And then you can either drag or drop or choose files. We support PDFs, JPEGs, PNG, just like we do in Dashboard. And in the file uploader, there is a 200 megabyte limit. So we'll go back to home. When you scroll down to the bottom, the important aspect that you'll need to get it onto your site is the generated code, and that will not be generated until you click save. So we'll click save. Perfect. So you'll want to copy this code and save it. Very important down below, the credentials. This is where the security aspects come in so that your uploads are secure from the widget back to your API or dashboard. One thing to note is that these will not repopulate for security purposes. So be sure to copy those, and then you can click done. This will take you back to all of the widgets you've created. You'll see that this one that we just created is active. The drop-down on the right also gives you the ability to edit it. If this one's no longer in use, but you don't want to delete it, you can deactivate it. You can copy the code that is going to be used for the site, and then you can also rotate credentials. So let's say the pop-up before, you forgot to save those. If you rotate the credentials, they'll create a new set of API credentials. Those will pop up. You can copy those ones, make sure to save those. But that is what we mean by rotate credentials. So from the dashboard perspective, you've created your widget, you've customized your branding, everything looks good. We'll move on to the next step. So this is where you will want to work with your IT or web team to go through 4 steps so that you can get your widget on your online application or on your website. So to embed widget requests first, your team will need to authorize widget requests and set up a REST server that can handle those internet requests. This includes configuring an endpoint on your server where a post request is made with authenticated user information to request an authenticated token from Ocrolus for uploading purposes. Then you will want to create a global getAuth token method that utilizes the API server endpoint on your server and makes it accessible to the widget for that seamless request handling. And then the more exciting part where you are actually getting it onto your site, that's me being a marketer because I love websites, but you'll create the anchor div in the backend code for embedding the widget and add an element to your website with the ID Ocrolus widget frame. The widget will dynamically populate this div with an iframe. So to customize the size of that div according to your preferences, you can modify that and the widget will automatically adjust to fit within it. So whether you're on a desktop or folks are submitting things online, it is mobile friendly. And then you'll embed the widget into your website by pasting that generated code that we saw before from the dashboard setup snippet in either the footer or the header of the website. That will enable the div on the previous step to actually populate. And then we will show you an example. I didn't do any like hard coding here, but I'll show you an example of what that would look like. Once those items are completed with your IT or website folks, this is what it'll look like embedded on your website. You can see from the example shown here, we have an online application. They're getting towards the end of that application and it's asking for their bank details so they can get a pre-approval for financing or whatnot. You can see where this is going to pop up. Say this is your bank, you might have your website or your logo here, but you'll be able to upload docs and connect to a bank. So this is what it'll look like in the end. I do want to point out if you're working with an IT team, maybe you're an end user or a business owner of your solution. When you go back to the embedded widgets section in the dashboard, there is some documentation available that you can hand over. We have a section for getting started with the widget that goes through a lot of the steps that I already took. And then for a more technical IT user, we do have a quick start repository that goes more in depth into a lot of the technical nitty gritty. But we will go back to the example shown here. That was a quicker deep dive, but it really shows you how easy it is to get set up on the dashboard to create your widget without having to go back and create anything from scratch for document intake, and then work with your teams to follow some standard steps to get that enabled on your site, both securely and pretty quickly. Vicky, we will jump into questions now.
All right. So I'd like to open the floor to any questions. Let's take a look and see what we have. All right, so one that we do have, can the Plaid API connection also be used on the front end for new loans rather than only portfolio monitoring? And then second part of the question, we would want to use Plaid connectivity for the cash flow analytics.
Absolutely. So back in the front where our funnel is, the widget, like first and foremost, is where we want to use that for your top of the funnel, receiving an application that can go into your cash flow evaluation. So spot on, that is the very first use case before getting into any other kind of transaction matching or post-funding transaction analytics.
Okay, so another one that we have, how do we enable widget? And then second part of it is there a cost involved?
Yeah, so this was just going through the setup. To actually enable the widget for your org, you'll want to reach out to either your account manager or you can reach out to support to enable that for your organization. And there's no cost associated to this. This is a great way to have your borrowers submit docs online, making it easier for you to collect those docs for cash flow evaluation.
That's great. And then do we support any other digital providers for connecting bank account data?
That's another good question. So not at the moment. Currently, we support that Plaid integration, but we're always open to feedback. So if you are working with another provider or you have questions about that, you can talk to your account manager. Your feedback really helps us drive future roadmap items.
Okay, I see one more here. So widget is created in dashboard, but it is only for API customers, or would it be able to create a new dashboard, a new book and dashboard as well?
Yes, so the book that gets created via the widget can be accessed via the dashboard as well as the API endpoints.
So that's what we have for questions. If anyone else has anything else, please feel free to put them into the Q&A. We have one more. If we do have a digital application separate from Ocrolus, can we connect to the Ocrolus widget via API?
Yeah, absolutely. So this can be using that code, the script that we saw here. So using this script from the generated code, if you have an existing digital application, you can put this right into that workflow with the steps that you would want to take with your IT team. You would want to go through these as well. These server setups will enable you to utilize that widget, put the code within your online application, have that populate, kind of like what you saw in the application example, and it'll be right in that flow.
That is all the questions I'm seeing at the moment.
Just give it another minute if any folks have any other questions. Awesome. Well, it looks like that might be it for today. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, this is becoming more and more sought after and asked for, especially like in your online application or on your site for secure document collection. If you do have any questions and you want to enable this, like I mentioned before from I think our first question, you can reach out to your account manager or our support team to have this enabled. Awesome. So with that, thank you all so much for joining us today. Be sure to look out for our next product pulse happening next month. Thank you all so much.